What's up, everybody? You are officially tuning into the last episode of Future Proof. I'm always looking to evolve, always looking to innovate, stay relevant, and we just simply can't do what we used to do with Future Proof in this environment. So it's forcing me to innovate. We are creating the new weekly vlog called Digital Discussions. So this week, the last episode of Future Proof, titled Digital Discussions. Next week, the first of the new vlog series, Digital Discussions. Enjoy, check it out.
People calling me up saying they need a feature, saying we can help each other, but I see the leeches. Get the credit where it's due, I ain't talking Visa. But since we talking Visa, don't say you won't pay me either. Did you catch that?
What's up, everybody? Today we have a little bit different of a format for Future Proof and an announcement, actually. I think this could be the last Future Proof episode. People should have been future proofing up until now because the future is here. So we'll discuss that on this Zoom conference call. Today I have the wonderful Barry Wolfe, Beth Azor, GabrielGonzalez, Stacey Mooney, the new Sabre affiliate here, Kyle and Sarah, Justin Korinis, also at Sabre, and we're excited to open up this discussion. So I want to start, guys, the general premise that retail real estate has been evolving as long as I'm in the business. Right? I'm in the business now 19 years, and it's continued to constantly change. The evolution, I would say, has come to a head, obviously, as a result of the internet and folks, retailers being forced to use omni-channel access and platforms to basically get their goods to other folks in different creative ways. I believe that the coronavirus is now forced upon us. It's kind of poured gasoline on that evolution process. We are all in the comfort of our own homes, trying to get the same goods and services that we would get if we were able to leave our homes safely. And I think that could potentially create a new normal for our industry. What do you guys think about that? Beth?
I agree. Yeah.
No, go ahead, Bear.
I agree. I mean, it's just hasten the pace of change, evolution, which it's exciting. I think there's going to be really some interesting opportunities going forward. But yeah, I agree with what you say.
So really, I mean, this, right, it's the evolution of technology and convenience, okay, right? I mean, look at using Blockbuster Video as an example, right? That they were an amazing company that probably lasted past their natural expiration date quite a bit, Beth. I see you agreeing with that. And ultimately streaming replaced that the same way that it likely will for companies like GameStop.
I may take things kind of a different direction or even a different level. I mean, I think to assume that what we're seeing now in terms of both convenience and, streaming from home workouts and all this stuff is the next step in the evolution might be premature. I think we're going to see something. This is the beginning of an evolutionary change, right? A massive, quick, decisive change that forces everyone to adapt. But I don't think we've seen what that adaptation looks like. I think we've learned to adapt to what, shutter in place, work from home, what that environment is for right now. But, the reality is that once we get back to normal, there's going to be a different version of this, and this is just a matter of companies surviving through this initial change, and then now there's going to be a growth period, and that's where we're going to see the real adaptation. Right now, it's just a temporary band-aid.
Well, I think that the fact no one's talking about the speed in how we completely changed everything we were doing. In a week, everyone is doing Zoom calls and working from home. And I think that when you change something so fast in culture and in the workplace, there will be a hangover effect to that. I don't know what that's going to be, but no one's talking about how are the entire world, and especially the United States, changed 180 degrees in so many facets of our life. And that, I don't know what the impacts of those are going to be, but specifically retail, and you spoke about Blockbuster, the cinema industry, the movie theater industry. You know, I said to my kids at dinner last night, I want my 19 and 16-year-olds' opinions on things. When do we go back into stadiums? When do we go back into movie theaters? When do we go back on airplanes? You know.
Great questions.
Good question.
Anybody, Barry, Gabe, you're awfully quiet.
It's the shift. And I would agree with Justin, hit the nail on the head. We were forced into this type of lifestyle right now. But as soon as the doors are open again, people are just going to go running back to a lot of the things they were doing before. So where is that middle ground of what we're seeing is adapted today that's going to stay today? I think there's going to be a hybrid. I don't think every office employee that's working from home will stay working from home. A lot of CEOs are very vocal that they want their teams as soon as they can back in the office because they feel, you know, the productivity is just not there working from home. So what retailers, I don't know.
Listen,
this
Gabe,
is really interesting to watch.
I agree with that completely, but let's be honest. We're all learning new ways of doing things, right? Yeah. So as a business owner, I have 3 offices, right? So I'm thinking, do I really need all of this square footage that I'm leasing at a premium, or could I consolidate some of that space or shift maybe to co-working and, you know, not necessarily be paying that premium? I could host my sales meetings the way that we are right now. You know, so I think that people say it takes 21 days to create a habit, right? We're going to be in this situation a lot longer than 21 days. What doesn't? And let's talk about the restaurant industry a little bit. It's all near our hearts. Kyle, you own a restaurant. Talk to us about that.
You know, I think I was just reading an article this morning what it's going to be like to come back into it. You know, much to your point, you were saying that people are going to rush out and they want to be involved in these environments. Well, I don't think, you know, our table is going to be as prevalent in restaurants as they are now or as they were before this. Are they going to matter as much? You know, I think you're going to see an expansion in terms of pickup areas. You know, maybe some operators might even right now be adapting their existing models to say, you know what, let's turn that closet into a straight pickup area and connect it to the kitchen in the back. I think there's going to be, you know, it was kind of already trending that way. Some of the restaurants that had that that foresight or started making concepts that were built for takeout and delivery are going to blossom and just kind of push that further. And I think that's going to force mom and pops and even the other existing concepts that were maybe not, you know, the Outbacks, if they're still around, or some of the other national brands to adopt that model of being pickup focused instead of it being like, oh, you know, we can't plate our salmon to go. Well, they're going to figure out a way to do it or make a kit to make it at home. I mean, it's really just forcing them into that model that Whole Foods and Amazon was starting to put into stores. So now they're really going to have to compete on that level. It's going to be a lot more competitive for everyone.
Hey, Kyle, are you seeing, are you hearing that governments or municipalities are going to limit in restaurant dining seats? That's one question. And then did you guys see the article yesterday that there's a prediction that we're going to lose 110,000 restaurants like forever, like that are not coming back?
Yeah, I saw that. And I saw another thing. I mean, I think it's going to be, because I remember the initial thing was, okay, you guys can be open, but you got to distance the tables. So in our spot, we took some tables and we put them outside just to kind of hang out and go to people through the waiting area. I think it's going to be similar heading back in. But I saw things like, the distancing is going to have to be like on the restaurant to keep people apart. So like those cozy little intimate New York City bars, like everyone at the bar, not going to be able to do it. And there may be even somebody at the door just like zapping you for your temperature.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so,
and then the question is that a 12-month scenario? Is that a 24-month scenario? Is that a forever scenario? Right. And I feel like as a culture and as human beings, the more time that passes, we kind of revert back to our natural behavior and those things kind of fall away. But that's, you know, if that's a 12 to 18 month period, that's a really long period of time that you're potentially suffering through terrible sales, let's call it, right? If you can't pack those people into the restaurant, you're suffering for a long time just trying to get through. And, that's the part that concerns me more than even this immediate shutdown, because coming out of this, there's going to be plenty of groups that figured out a way to survive and now made it through. But now what happens after that? And we're talking about that 110,000 restaurants that just go away permanently. One of the major mall landlords in a conversation the other day mentioned that they're anticipating about 50% of the restaurants in their portfolio just never coming back. And that's a major mall landlord with, billions of square feet of real estate across the world. And we saw something this morning, shout out to Russell Helbling for forwarding an article, but he sent an article about Starbucks reopening now in China. Previously, they saw takeout sales at Starbucks, the online ordering at 27%. As these are now reopening, they're up above 80%. And again, that might just be because people are skittish and aren't really sure what they want to do. But once you get used to doing something like that, and Jay's talking about 21 days to make a habit, once that becomes your habit and you no longer sit there and go online, sit on the line to order and you just order from the app, it gets a lot easier. And then people who may never have adapted that technology, let's call it someone who's in their 70s and isn't tech savvy, but now downloads the app and figures out a way to make it happen. Now all of a sudden that becomes easier, and they're just going to start doing that from now on. So
almost like it accelerated it.
Yeah,
exactly. But you said a lot, and one thing is I have a tremendous Starbucks habit. Okay, I represent Starbucks for the last 16 years, and anybody who knows anything about my Insta story is I'm drinking like venti like Americanos very frequently throughout the day. Guys, I got news for you. I'm surviving off of my Keurig with my regular Pike's Place, and I'm saving myself probably, no joke, $15 a day. So will I go back to, spending $15 a day at Starbucks? Chances are, yes, I will. I'm a creature of habit, and I'll go back to that. But more importantly right now, Barry, Beth, we're all talking about how difficult it is to apply for the payroll protection program, right? And that's the biggest thing right now is every single day. Forget, 110,000 restaurants in the next couple of weeks. Guys, I don't know anybody who's applied who's even gotten a response.
I do. It's crazy. You know what we were talking about? I saw several posts on LinkedIn where people were talking about, the advantage of having massive payroll and how that would put you at the front of the line with these lenders, obviously because they're making a nominal percentage off of these loans. And so they're going to, put those people that are taking the larger loans at the front of the line. And I think Barry and I even exchanged a couple, messages about that. And sure enough, just last night, I had 3 different texts from a couple of different business owners, and I don't want to, share their details, but I'll tell you, it's in the millions, and they've already gotten approval. One was for $5 million. They've already gotten it, and I'm thinking, oh my God, and I applied, and I haven't got. All I got was, the recognition of the application, and of course, I've heard nothing since.
That's great news, though.
Yeah,
Stacey.
that's great.
I haven't heard. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd say I've seen a few instances. It seems to me, and Stacey, I'd be curious, so is that money actually been wired into their account? I've seen a few folks. It seems like the difference I'm seeing is local, smaller regional banks seem to be handling this a whole lot better than the B of A's. Although I've heard good things actually with Chase. I don't know anybody that's gotten the money that I've heard, but I've heard they're handling it well. But it seems to be it's the local regional banks that people are saying the process was smooth, it was easy, I'm getting my money tomorrow. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying.
I know I asked one of them specifically what their kind of process was. I did not ask about the bank. I will though now. But I know that they gave a lot of credit to, of course, their CPA and how their application was prepared and that they, of course, you've heard a lot of people talking about all last week, people were getting all of their documents ready. So the second that was opened up, they were ready to, so I don't know how much that played into it, but I do still anticipate that a lot of it is because of the volume, the size of the payroll they had.
I think a lot of owners of businesses right now, though, are it's a tremendous anxiety, right? Your fate is basically in the hands of whether or not you're going to get approval, and if so, how much you're actually going to receive. Another big challenge for my clients has been, if I need to spend X percentage on this on payroll and rehiring the folks that we had to furlough, lay off, or fire entirely. I'm not open for business, and I have no idea when I'm going to be able to open for business. Even if I get this money, there's a big chance that I don't hire these folks back or put that money towards that. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, they have to put it towards payroll, right? I mean, 75%, or they have to pay it back.
Or convert to a loan. So, which is still, again, you still need money to operate your business. So I don't know that the way that it's been formatted is going to necessarily achieve what everybody wants to achieve, which is good.
It's a struggle. I had a conference call this morning from a restaurant operator who's got 6 locations in South Florida. He's applied to the loan, hasn't heard anything, doesn't have an approval yet. It's through Bank of America. He is a small business customer with Bank of America. But he's coming to me and basically saying, look, Gabe, if I got to pay your rent, I got to close. I cannot pay rent on 6 locations. So he's got 3 landlords. We're one of them. And so we're saying, look, we'll work with you and we'll get you through April. Let's see what we can do for May to just try to keep him open while he figures out this application process. So hearing that, Stacey, is phenomenal news. That makes me feel a little bit better, because I don't know what to tell my tenants, because every tenant I'm talking to on a local level, we have 1,100 tenants in my portfolio in South Florida. I don't know one that has gotten money yet. So hearing that is makes me feel so much better. Maybe it's just,
well, I don't think they've actually gotten the money. They got notice that they've been
at least an approval. That's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
I'd be curious, Jason and Kyle, and particularly as far as operators, we're talking about this money. I mean, realistically, how big a difference do you think it impacts them, the actual surviving? I mean, does it make it more, let's assume they get the money, what's the problem? I mean, are they much more likely to make it out of this and be surviving, or is it a matter they're making payroll until they eventually don't make it? I mean, how big of an impact do you think it's actually going to make as far as people getting to the end of this? Operators.
Listen, I think that it completely has to do with the health of your business before this, right? A lot of different businesses are really, surviving on the income that they have coming in for that month. And the minute that they no longer have revenue coming in, they're basically dead, right? Yeah. So, those businesses are the ones that are really in harm's way. Kyle, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the issue I think that the restaurants are struggling with right now is the 8-week period. I don't know how that could be set in stone. I mean, the date now that's being thrown around by some industry is September 1st. Running levels that
we're losing. Yeah, I think we have a landscaper in the background. Oh, there we go. We had some major feedback.
Yeah, the 8 weeks is going to be a problem, but hopefully there's going to be a way to navigate that, because I don't see how some of these restaurants can ramp back up in 8 weeks, hire back the people in 8 weeks. Because the other thing I'm hearing is these restaurant staffers are just going to stay home. They're making more money staying home than they were working in the restaurant. So there's a lot of different variables for them to try to fight against to get open in 8 weeks and start bringing it back. The plus side is the interest rate is so low, maybe they just can figure it out. They can work in conversation with the landlord.
We have some feedback. I don't know who it's coming from.
Did you guys see this morning the huge new package that came out by the feds? Huge, like I think, $1 trillion for 10,000 employees or less. Huge. It actually, they announced the job loss claim, and literally they interrupted the announcement of the job loss claim by 3 seconds to announce, the Fed got on and announced this huge $1 trillion package, completely choreographed.
Yeah, and it's working with the markets, right?
Right. The markets open.
Markets are completely disconnected from
reality, right?
It just doesn't make sense at all what the numbers are doing.
Well, the markets are reacting to the new package. And like this morning before I got on, I watched for 5 minutes, and they're like, look, even Boeing could apply for this. So this is now the next wave of help. I wish someone would figure out how the next wave of help is for the lender, to get the lenders off of our backs.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit as a landlord, right? you know, you're in a situation now where, you know, I'm hearing all different percentages of rent checks are in the mail, so to speak. And you and I obviously spoke about that a week or so ago. And I saw Jeff Blau from related companies gave an interview that, you know, the residential portfolio, office portfolio, very high percentage where they received their April rent. And then I believe he used it was 26% of the checks that they received for April, which is very concerning. I saw a follow-up thing on The Real Deal yesterday that Equinox, which is a related company, didn't pay their rents. And Jeff was actually, you know, saying how terrible it is for companies that are in good financial standing to take advantage of landlords paying their rent. So that was interesting. What are your thoughts on what, you know, which I think we all know which tenants are and aren't paying their rents? What are your general thoughts on that as an owner?
Well, I know we don't have 2 hours to talk about this, but look, I have 6 properties. I have 5 mortgages, 3 community banks kicked the can for 90 days. The 2 CMBS lenders are saying, go for it, and you know, we'll sell your property out from under you. The tenants are crying. I'm talking them off ledges. I've got enough reserves. So those 6 mortgages, I mean, those 5 mortgages are about $1.5 million. The 2 CMBSs are about 200,000. So I can, you know, dig in my pocket and my partner's pockets and pay 3 to 4 months before we give the keys back to the bank, truly. And there are tenants who are open. Restaurants that are becoming grocery stores that are open, that are not paying and basically saying, and it's disgusting. You know, if there's a tenant that's closed, I get it. I'm gonna, you know, so if the lenders would help me, I could help my tenants more. But the ones that are threatening to sell our loans out from under us if we call our special servicers and wave a white flag is very scary, especially when there are tenants who can afford to pay that aren't paying. So I heard that Jeff Blau interview, and what shocked me was when Andrew Ross Sorkin said to Jeff, well, so are you getting letters from these national tenants that they're not paying? And Jeff said, yeah. And Andrew Ross Sorkin said, fascinating. I immediately started tweeting CNBC, like, where are you guys? Like, you don't know this is happening? Yep. So, you know, but we have no leverage, because if the government shuts down the retailers, where is our leverage? Sure. So we're the guy that's stuck in the middle, and it's heartbreaking.
Gabe,
and it's disgusting.
What is landlord? So chime in on that. Obviously, a different type of landlord, a very large REIT.
We're a REIT. We have about 450 centers across the country. We have 2 approaches right now. Our nationals, of course, are sending us letters every day. You know, you've got your larger tenants who are basically either enacting co-tenancy clauses. They're either saying that they're not going to pay flat out because they can't. Do so, you know, we've got 30 locations, we're not going to send you a check. Or some of our nationals have actually sent in rents, reduced rents, or just paying CAM. It's all across the board. I do not see one consistent story. Our approach to our local mom and pops has been a little bit more compassionate. We understand that if you are a massage entity and you are forced to close and you're a franchisee, what am I supposed to do as a landlord? You physically don't have a way to generate income. So our PMs, God bless them, they're on the phone every day with all of our tenants. What's your situation? What can we do to help you? You know, there's going to be tenants who are not going to survive this, and we know that. So if there were tenants who are having issues and were on their last leg before this, our focus is really on the guys who were good operators, who are good tenants, who we know are doing everything they can, who are on the phone with us. Those are the guys we're going to invest resources into saving. The other guys, you know, they're not going to make it, unfortunately. The situation really pushed them over the cliff. I agree with Beth. There's some nationals, and I'm not going to, of course, would never mention names, but there's some nationals who have really taken a very ugly approach to this and said, we're not going to pay you. We don't care. It is what it is. What do you do? Beth said it on, you know, when evictions are pretty much on hold. What leverage do you have? What can you do when a national says, I'm not going to pay?
Right. I had one client, he had a national, and again, obviously I wouldn't name it either, that sent him a notice they weren't going to pay, and he responded back basically saying, you were buying stock back 30 days ago. No, you're in default. Either pay your rent or you're in default. And like we've been talking about, there are nationals and there are also mom and pops that legitimately are doing everything they can to survive. So I don't minimize these requests. A lot of them are truly legitimate, but some of them are taking advantage. I think Adidas, if I remember right, naming one name, I think they basically say, you know what, we are going to pay.
They said they weren't going to pay, and the entire country of Germany came down on them, and so now they're paying. And Connor Flynn put something on LinkedIn that said, national tenants, you need to step up so we can help our small mom and pops. That's a leader that did that. I'm predicting we're going to lose 25% of occupancy after all of this, and we're going to see probably less than 10% of national deals done in the next 18 months. So if we can save our mom and pops, because they're the ones that are going to get us through this, and be able to expand and help fill some of these newly created vacancies, because the nationals truly, they're not going to be opening for business before 18 months based on everyone I'm speaking to and the timelines that are being thrown out. So mom and pops are the game. So we need to help the ones that are in business, like the one that's got the 6 restaurants that Gabe said. That's the guy that I'm open for business and I'm for sale. I want that guy. I want him to open his 7th and Azor property.
So you're hearing mom nationals won't open for business for 18 months?
Well, think about this, and Jason can attest. I'm not a tenant rep, but let's say we open July 1st. When's the first tour? July 15th, August 1st. And the boss has to come into town September 1st. Then it has to go to real estate committee October. Then the lease has to get negotiated 3 months. That's January. Then they do plans March. Then they go for permit June. Then they construct. It's fall of 21. And when I put that on LinkedIn, 40 people said I was too aggressive.
Literally saw your timeline, Beth, and I was like, I'm going to go throw myself off a bridge.
People said I was too aggressive. They said it's 2022 easily.
You know what?
I agree with you.
Listen, Beth, that's all great points. And, I want to point out as we're winding down as far as time here, I want to point out a recent post of yours that you put up regarding mentoring younger folks in the industry, because having gone through 2008 and seeing, how many people were no longer in the industry after that downturn, I commend you, and I'd like to get involved. I think we should all get involved. Everybody that's on this call, it's our duty to get involved. Beth, talk a little bit about that, please.
So in the last 3 weeks, I was getting bombarded with young people calling me, freaking out. They got laid off. They're worried they're going to get laid off. What do we do? My boss is too busy to talk to me. I don't know. Should I offer to help? What should I? So I had so many that I said I need to do a webinar. So I asked Aaron Zucker to help, because he's 31, and I thought he could be of that generation. And last Friday, it was supposed to be a 45-minute webinar. We had 92 people register, 87 showed up. In the world of webinars, that's unheard of. It was supposed to be 45 minutes. It lasted 90 until I cut it off. I decided we're going to do it weekly. So we're doing it every Friday, 4 p.m. It's called the Freshman Forum. We're creating a special Facebook page, and it's 5 years or less. Jody recalled from Chipotle, heard I was doing it, and said, I'll mentor anyone that wants a mentor, or, I'll mentor someone. And I said, that's a great idea. So we asked vets to raise their hand. I had 62 vets sign up. The first call, I had 27 kids that wanted to be mentored. By now, I'm up to 45 matches. And why I'm doing this is because in 2009, we lost a generation. We lost a whole generation of kids that didn't have any help, because I'm talking to leasing directors all day, every day about the nationals. I know that they're not focused on that kid that's 6 months in at their company. There's not enough hours in the day. So if I can step in with Aaron's help and all these mentors help to keep, and again, there's probably 1,000 of those kids, but I was so refreshed, Jason, after that call. The questions they asked and the ideas they came up with was so invigorating to me. Those 90 kids, I'm not worried about the future of our industry because they spent an hour and a half on a Friday afternoon. They weren't watching Netflix. We're good. And I think tomorrow I'm going to have 300. So
the biggest challenge, Beth, as you mentioned earlier, is the timeline in our industry, right? If I rewind back to the time 20 years, and I was in the business with a desk and a phone and no direction, trying to figure out where to go and canvas and prospect, and I didn't know you, unfortunately, right? It's very difficult. If we sign a deal today, you just went through the timeline, when is that leasing broker going to actually get paid, right? So, there's companies like Sabre that are happy to line up with younger folks and help them in ways, obviously, to sustain themselves and learn as much as possible. And I think it's also important to use digital media, which is not necessarily heavily used in our industry. All of us, one of the commonalities and the reason that you guys are on this call today is the fact that, you guys use LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all of these different platforms, including obviously Zoom and Instagram Live, everything that we're doing to really innovate and lead and usher the industry forward. Those young people are really good at, right? So for me, it's almost like I need to make them secure in the business, in the industry, because it elevates all of us, right? Like this is like a cleansing. This is not a pause button. And I tell this to everybody who asks my thoughts on this. This entire thing is not a pause button. It's a reset button. The people who don't realize that this is a new world. And if you're operating today like it's 1997, I have news for you. You're invisible and you're out of business.
Preach.
Through that.
Exactly.
So real quickly, Barry, tell it you're in capital markets, investment sales.
Yeah.
We do some of it at Sabre, but you're a guru. So tell us a little bit about how it's affecting your world right now.
We're still getting deals done. It's definitely, there are deals that are falling out. There's just industry wide. There's no doubt about that. The financing markets but it's challenging right now. We're getting deals done, but the buyer, I'd say activity level is kind of equivalent, maybe like a holiday time. So activity level is certainly off. The buyers predominantly 1031 driven, and they're going to be more cautious. And I think some of those, you're going to see fewer 1031 buyers going forward for a little while because there's some deals that are just simply falling out. And then I think there's some percentage of 1031 buyers are probably going to elect to pay taxes. But we do still have deals moving forward. I've got a deal we're closing tomorrow that we had to renegotiate based on a rent concession. We've got deals going to contracts. So deals are happening. They are flowing. But it's definitely moving. Things are moving a little bit slower and not the velocity we had seen 60 days ago. But it's not dead by any stretch.
Love that. Gabe, what about your thoughts? Any new activity from tenants?
I actually just got an LOI this morning. It's the first LOI I've gotten in a week.
Yeah,
so it made me very excited. I even told the broker, I was like, you're the only LOI I've gotten. On my desk for March 20th, I had 15 active deals. Of those 16, 3 got signed on the 20th. Out of that 13 that's still remaining, only 3 are still active. All the rest have been put on hold. Everyone's just waiting to see. But a new LOI.
Love
I'll take it. Restaurant too.
Amazing. All right, good stuff. So guys, I'm being told that we're closing in on time here, getting some text from Brittany and the rest of you guys. So listen, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for taking the time today. We are responsible for the future of this industry collectively. Keep up the great work, guys.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks for your time.
Good day. All right, guys. So we just wrapped up the last episode of Future Proof. I hope you guys were evolving, developing your personal brand, focusing on the future of your business, because guess what? The future is now here. So Digital Discussions will be the new weekly vlog. Excited to have guests, friends, people discussing hot topics, how to do business in the new world. I hope you all stay happy, healthy, and safe. Thank you for tuning in.